Hi there, Lloyd Machedo speaking to you from LloydMachedo.com. Who's Lloyd Machedo and Think Personal Branding? I got this interesting question sent to me by members of my group asking me as to how did I actually earn money? How did I earn the amount of money that I made, from where I started? Because obviously, if you have followed me for a couple of years now, you would know that in 2011, I was penniless on the streets of India. Okay, 2011. You can just type Lloyd Machedo suicide video. In 2011, I was penniless on the streets of India. I was planning to kill myself because I didn't have any hope. I didn't have any future. I didn't have any reason to live. However, from that point, I was able to flip my life over. I happened to, from there, by luck or whatever, one action led to another. I got TED Talks. I was featured on Coca-Cola's viral ad. I was featured in, national television. The media spoke about me. Then I managed to get contracts whereby I was paid by the hour. I started to have traction where the coaching business was concerned. So long story short, I was able to make a six-figure income. That is, from being penniless in a period of like 6 to 7 years, I was able to earn that six-figure income. And from there, I was able to take the actions necessary for me to shift my life from where I was to where I am today. So many of my group members asked me, Lloyd, how did you do that? Could you give us certain specific steps? Now, when I look at my life, there are too many variables. But if I had to, zero it down to 11 steps, let's say I thought I would just share with you 11 steps as to what did I do in terms of reaching from zero to a six-figure income. Now, most of these points that I give you would be considered generic. They would be considered like, oh, just hard work or just focus. No, but I'll break it down into giving you specifics as to how did I use this in my life. What I would recommend you to do is take down the point. I'll put them in the description box below and ask yourself, what is it that you can do practically? Because remember this, let's say, for example, if one of the points, it's not that, if one of the points was hard work, don't just say, oh, it's hard work. Okay. Ask yourself, how exactly can you work hard? What can you do, or what kind of action should you start working hard on? All right. So I'll try to break it down as much as possible. See what helps you. You have any questions, either get in touch with me through the comment section, or you can send me an email or a WhatsApp message. So let's quickly move on. So these are the 11 points. 11 points being self-analysis, future analysis, competitors analysis, mentoring, strategy analysis, upgrading yourself, sharpening your saw, savings, relationship changes, preventive measures, and finally addictions and drawbacks. So now I'll break it down one by one, and I'll explain to you what these points are. So the first one, self-analysis. Now, there is always a tendency for people to be in their comfort zone. We all like to be in our comfort zone, especially when things go, things are going smooth sailing. And it has happened to me throughout my life. Whenever I've enjoyed things and things have been really nice, I've just been in my comfort zone. After all, why to change? However, it is when I'm in my comfort zone and when I start, just coasting, that is where problems take place. Like, for example, this year itself, in 2018, when I started to coast, that is where problems hit me. How were the problems? The problems were like I had my iMac and my entire system all crashed one day. iMac, my MacBook Pro, my iPad, my iPhone, all of them crashed. I don't know what it was. It was a virus or what it was. All of them crashed. And then later on, I found out what was the reason. I had my Facebook. I got a block for 30 days. YouTube, I nearly got banned. Then Quora, I got banned after putting 6 months of work. My website and my name, Lloyd Machedo, was blocked by Google because they said that there was some malicious activity. They were just checking. This was when the algorithm changed. Then another one was where my health started to act funny. And if you follow me, last year I had my surgery. So these were some of the things that happened. And, if you follow me on Facebook, you know where I had a kind of encounter with a guy who threatened to kill me. So these were the things that happened just all of a sudden, and I wasn't prepared for this. And because I wasn't prepared for this, it really shocked me. It really put me out of my comfort zone. And then I was like, oh my goodness, what do I need to do in order to set this right? So what I decided is, when those problems took place, I made sure that everything was taken care of. So this year that I'm planning for the next year, I decided, okay, I need to prepare myself. I should not be in my comfort zone. So the first part was analyzing myself, studying all the weak points, the strong points, the good, the bad, the ugly. So the first one, during the self-analysis, I decided I would rebrand myself. So what is rebrand? Before, I used to portray myself as this controversial character, as this guy who makes a lot of noise. That was phase 1. Phase 2 was becoming this coach. Now, phase 3 was, okay, personal branding strategist, which I am right now. Now, the next phase that I've decided is, I need to be this guy who creates a community, has nurturing relationships with people who value my services or contribution, keep out the trolls and the weeds and the bad guys, and be in a circle of trust. So that's going to be part of my rebrand strategy for 2019. The other things, other specific areas in terms of self-analysis is, before, like one of my drawbacks, I used to always criticize, okay, Thai Lopez does like this, Grant Cardone does like that, Dan Locke does like this, okay, these guys are fake or these guys are bad. So I started asking myself, fine, I don't like them, I don't get along with them, or I don't approve of their strategy or their ways of doing things, even whether it's Neil Patel or whatever. But then what can I learn from these guys? What can I actually learn? Because obviously they are earning millions. They are earning like 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures. What can I learn from them and apply it to my own life? That is where I started to analyze the people I didn't like, find out what could I learn from them and what could I apply into my life to make me much better. Because it makes no sense me being like a barking dog just criticizing them. What is it that I can learn from them and become better myself? So then I also had to write down, I believe in physically writing down. I wrote down what are the things that I used, what are the resources that I used, what are the resources that I have and I didn't use, what is it that I have not been using at all, what should I do more of, what should I do less of. Like for example, last year I let you know when Tim Ferriss had released his book, The Tribe of Mentors, that I'm going to try this morning routine. If you follow me in Quora, you would know that I tried this new morning routine. That was breathing, that was meditation, that was doing the basic exercises. It was creative visualization. I did them for a couple of months and then I discontinued. Then I tried something new. So I asked myself, out of all this, which was actually useful for me? What was not useful for me? What was working out for me? What was not working out for me? Let's say before I used to aggressively read books. I used to keep reading books every day. I'd spend 4 to 5 hours. I asked myself, did it actually help me? Or was I simply fooling myself or just blindly, following, okay, I'm reading books to improve. So do I need to do that? Is it helping me earn money? Because the bottom line was earning money. So, when I started asking myself these questions, there was a paradigm shift. Today, you'd be surprised to know, before I used to give so much importance to reading books. Now I actually feel if I read more books, it's going to be detrimental to me. I should stop reading so many books. I need to start doing things. So now I just flip through the pages of a book. I don't spend too much time reading a book. Flip through, find out 1 or 2 points that I can actually use, implement, and rest of the book I don't bother. So that has been a major shift from what I was. Then in terms of evaluating myself, I think one of the biggest things was being realistic. You tend to meet people who give you this rah-rah that anything is possible, you can achieve your dreams, believe in the impossible. There are some of my clients who are in their 40s, who are in their 50s, they still believe that they are going to achieve, let's say, their Hollywood dream. They still believe they're going to be this millionaire or billionaire. There are some people who still believe that, I can still do it. I'll get the girl of my dreams or whatever. Now, There is always a possibility, yes, like winning a lottery ticket, there is a possibility you will win the jackpot. But what are the chances? I mean, everybody who purchases a lottery ticket believes that he or she has a chance. And yes, they do have a chance, but what is the probability of getting it? It's very less. So I need to be real with myself. I'm 40 years old. I'm 41 now. Okay. I'm getting older and older. And I need to be real with the fact that today youngsters or people find me, oh, Loy is this amazing guy, he's this cool guy with his tattoos. Whoa, it's... However, at the age of 50, people would be less fascinated with me. At the age of 60, they would be like, who's this old dog with this, saggy skin and this tattoos? Is he retarded? So I need to keep a future perspective in mind and be real about things. Like once upon a time, I could go to the gym and lift super heavy weights. Today, my joints, if I were to do something drastic, I think I would end up in severe pain, because as you get older, your joints become less flexible to take damage, So things really change. That is why before I used to go to the gym, I was a gym rat. I used to even take steroids to keep myself big and fit. I used to spend so much time on triathlon, half marathons. You can check my previous videos or Instagram. You'd see I used to literally spend 9 hours a day, 3 times a week, only on keeping fit, marathon running, six-pack abs, impressing girls, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars into being into sports. But today, it doesn't serve a purpose. So the first point is this aspect of self-analysis. You need to know very clearly who you are, what you are, where are you headed, what are you doing, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So it's very important to take a past perspective, understand where you are now, and evaluate the future. So that is where self-analysis comes into play. That's the first most important point. The second point is being very aware of the external and internal factors, that is analyzing future changes. Now, it's a fact that we can't predict accurately the future. We can only speculate. There's always a tendency for us to be positive about the future. Like, for example, Dubai is forever speculative and positive that the markets will boom. We are going to make lots of money. Expo 2020 is going to be amazing. If you look at the United States, they say that our economy is going to be the strongest in the world. We're going to double the minimum wages. We are going to overtake everyone else. You look at India. India says we are going to be the next future superpower. China is also looking to dominate global markets. Russia is wanting to make its presence felt. So everyone has a positive outlook. In fact, if you ask cryptocurrency experts or the cryptocurrency enthusiasts, they will tell you crypto is going to hit 1 million per crypto, per Bitcoin. So everyone is positive about the future. However, on the other side, you have people who are pessimistic and who are pretty afraid of the future. The markets will crash. The economy is going down. Oh, things are going to be really bad, gloom and doom. Now, I would say that look at the positive, look at the negative, be balanced. Don't be too much on the speculative side. Don't be too much on the negative side. My style is more towards I focus more on the negative and I prepare myself accordingly. For example, I'm closely following what is happening in terms of Brexit. Okay, UK leaving the European Union. I paid attention, close attention, when they were bringing in all these refugees into the country. I knew it's going to be a mess. Okay, then came the Brexit. Now Brexit is happening. How does Brexit affect other countries? Now I'm seeing the shift in the Middle East crisis. You have Qatar, you have UAE, you have Bahrain, Saudi, Oman. That unity that is there is no longer there. You have oil prices which are going high. You have the US economy which has completely, gone 180 with Donald Trump coming. And Donald Trump is now shaking things up by, imposing tariffs. Who were supposed to be his best friends, that is Europe, Germany, France, UK. There are cracks in the relationship. So you may not necessarily believe this, but it all will impact you directly or indirectly. So when I analyze all this, I it leaves me really scared. It leaves me really frightened, because end of the day, it's going to affect somebody or another. Now, when it affects one person, it affects another person, it affects another person. For example, let's say I have a nice job and I have let's say $10,000 per month to spend on shopping, to spend on games, to spend on having fun. Now, let's say I lose my job. So now I'll not spend 10,000 on shopping. I'll stop having fun. I'll stop going outside. So these places where I normally used to give my business, because I've given them lesser revenue, their profits will come down. And when their profits come down, they need to adjust by balancing. They will put pressure on their salespeople, or they'll say, guys, we need to cut down costs. So the guys who are not performing, we'll have to let you go. Because when you multiply this by, let's say, 100,000 people, if 1,000 people lose their jobs, it does affect the buyers. It does affect the sellers. So keep this in mind. So I keep constantly analyzing the future demographics and keep myself abreast to know, okay, this is what is happening. So don't just watch CNN, don't just watch BBC, don't just watch Jazeera. Look at all of them. Listen to what they have to say, because today, even the media companies, what they do is they play around with letting you hear what they want you to hear. So evaluate all this information and understand that it's going to impact you. So you need to be prepared. The third point that I strongly believe is you need to analyze your competitors. Okay, before that, just keep in mind when you're talking future changes, so before something happens, you prepare yourself and take action. That is the reason I left Dubai before the taxes were going to be implemented, before the new laws were going to be implemented, before the changes were going to be implemented. That's why I left Dubai. I mean, I was comfortable in Dubai. I didn't have to leave Dubai, but I took a perspective of 5 years, 10 years ahead, and that is why I left. So next point is analyze your competitors. Now, you may not know who are your competitors. For example, let's say you're a graphic designer and you'll be like, man, I don't have competitors. Or you might be a finance controller working for a multinational company, or an engineer. You'd say, no, I don't have competitors. The fact of the matter is everybody has. Now, if you're a finance controller, the people who are in the industry, just like you, are your competitors. In fact, your colleague can be your competitor. The person above you can be your competitor. So you need to analyze your competitors. For me, my competition is not just personal branding strategists like me. It can be coaches, it can be mentors, it can be people offering a service. In fact, sometimes I even have indirect competition. Let's say, for example, the new iPhone that is launched. Okay, now it's $1,000. Now, I've had customers who are supposed to pay me $1,000. Instead of paying me $1,000, they went ahead and they purchased the iPhone because they were, unable to control themselves and they wanted to give themselves immediate pleasure. And because of this, they were not able to pay me. And then I suffered. So even though this is not directly my competitor, it has still affected me. In the same way, for you, you will lose out on opportunities if you do not analyze or study your competition or competitors or the competitive market. So what I've done today is, for me to understand my competition, I joined all these Facebook groups where there are coaches, there are consultants, there are internet marketers, there are social media influencers. I joined all these groups and I keep, I don't participate much, but I'm constantly reading and trying to pick up the pulse of the crowd, because obviously in all these groups, people are busy trying to sell themselves. Okay. So I just try to analyze what is going on. I subscribe to all the coaches, their newsletters. I study their newsletters. I study how do they write their copyright? How do they, market their website? How do they, give webinars? So I'm constantly evaluating them and asking myself, okay, he must have studied from someone else. What can I study from him and, implement it into myself? Now, if you are an employee, ask yourself, let's say, for example, all right, I'm an engineer in a company. What can I do to upgrade my resume? What can I do to upgrade my interview skills? What can I do to improve my networking skills? What can I do to improve my communication skills? Who are the new, people I should be meeting in my industry. So you need to figure all this out. Many people, they keep asking me, "Oh, how do you survive? How do you sustain?" I survive and sustain because I get clients. I get mid-range and high-end clients who tell me, "Lloyd, analyze my brand. Tell me which are the areas I need to improve on. What do I need to focus on? How do I become better?" So this is where you need to analyze yourself, not only yourself, analyze your competition. So when I take up, let's say I take up a client, he's working as a director, let's say director for MasterCard. Okay, I have one of my customers who is at a directorial position in MasterCard. Now, I somehow try to figure who are his competitors. Let's say a director at Visa, a director at American Express, a director in a bank. I look at their profiles. I look at their resumes. I interact with them. I speak to them. I find out what is it they're doing. Do they have an online profile? Do they have an offline profile? Who are the people that they keep in touch in their social media platform? And I analyze all of them and I take down notes. So this is what you need to do, is study your competition and figure out who is better than you and what can you do to be as good as them and even better. So it's very important, because end of the day, remember this, your customer has money for one. So if they were to buy an iPhone, they may not buy the Samsung this year. So you have lost the revenue for this year. So please keep in mind that you'll have opportunities, but you have plenty of threats. So that is why you need to study your competition. And that's the only way you can succeed. Whether it's MMA, whether it's Olympics, whether it's boxing, whether it's your career, there are competitors every single place. Okay. Point number 4 is the power of mentoring. Now, the sad fact about this is this word is been used, overused, and abused by people calling themselves coaches and calling themselves mentors. I've interacted with 16-year-olds. I've interacted with 20-year-olds calling themselves coaches and mentors. You have all these guys who position themselves on the internet and call themselves. So it's slightly a dicey area. But you need to keep in mind that if you have to succeed, you need a mentor. Now, there are people who have succeeded without a mentor. Absolutely true. And there are people who need a mentor. Let's say, for example, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson had a mentor who helped him sharpen his skills. Conor McGregor, who's an MMA fighter, he has a mentor. You have, let's say, Steven Spielberg. He had a mentor. He had someone who trained him. In every field, you have somebody. Now, let's say you want to study English. English is not your strong forte. You want to study English. Now, you can go and check on YouTube and figure out ways and means. Okay, step-by-step learning English. You can go to articles and websites which teach you English. You can learn by yourself, buy books. Or you can go to an institute and train yourself. Or you can have one-to-one coaching with someone who really speaks very well. Or you can even go to maybe the best person that you know online and tell you, you're the world's best, please train me. So in terms where mentoring is concerned, let me give you my personal example. Now, right now, I'm trying to study and learn internet marketing. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm trying to study and learn internet marketing. Okay. I'm trying to study and learn Facebook marketing. I'm trying to learn webinars. I'm trying to learn sales funnels. I'm trying to learn copywriting. Okay, I'm upgrading myself in all these areas. Now, I have subscribed to all the possible courses which I felt were good in all these areas. I got in touch with the experts in each and every area. Now, I can do this by myself. Trial and error, keep figuring it out. Does it work, not work? Or I can meet someone who is exceptionally good in each of these areas, pay them a little bit more money, and maybe speed up my learning curve. Example, let me give you a small example. Now, in terms of internet marketing, in the genre of personal branding, I found a course which I have to pay only $50, that is per month, $50 per month online. Okay. that are free. I'm not talking of the free videos and free articles and all that. Okay, forget that. That's one. Where paid is concerned, this guy, he charges $50. I checked, pretty good content, and I decided to go for it. Now, given the fact that I'm only paying $50, you can't expect one-to-one coaching. So this guy gives the whole group, he gives standard content every single, let's say, every single week. He gives new content and things to do. Now, if I were to go free, it would take me maybe 4 years or 5 years to gain mastery. Because I joined this community, you know, roughly I've evaluated maybe 3 years. However, I don't have time. I want to improve fast. So I checked, and finally I found a guy who told me, I'll teach you, but my charge is $5,000. $5,000 per month. Now just think, free, $50, sorry, 49, say 49, and here is $5,000. I even checked a guy who trained some of the best of the best. He charges something like $25,000 a month. Okay. Now, between the $5,000 and the $25,000, I checked both of them. More or less, they teach the same thing. The fundamentals are same. Only difference was the guy who's charging $25,000, he has an impressive track record. So, if I don't want to wait for 5 years with the free, I don't want to wait the 3 years with the $50, I have to bring in the cash to pay this guy $5,000 per month and speed up my learning curve. Now, the choice is up to me. The choice is totally up to me. With what sense of urgency do I have? Do I really, really want to succeed? Do I really have that fire inside? And if I have the fire, well, I need to work hard. I need to really push myself. Otherwise, you know, just go with the flow. But given the fact that I'm competitive, given the fact that I'm obsessed about my success, given the fact that I value my brand, I just cannot wait for 5 years. I cannot wait for 3 years. I need to do it fast. I opted for the guy who takes $5,000. Now, for some people, $5,000 is like, oh my God, that's too much. That may be too much for you. But for me, I did the calculation. If I study this $5,000 per month, okay, maybe for the next 6 months or whatever, it's going to push myself to the next level where instead of earning maybe $10,000 per customer, I can start charging $50,000 per customer because I take the high-end clients. So you really need to ask yourself how important it is to get a mentor. Remember this, you can go to the gym and try to build your muscle by yourself and give yourself all the years. I used to go to the gym, 16 years I spent into bodybuilding, and I didn't grow very much until I got myself a professional coach. And in few months, I was able to grow much more further and much more better, much more stronger than all the 16 years put together. That is where I realized the power of mentoring. So it's all up to you whether you value yourself, your time, especially time is such a resource that if you don't have that, you cannot succeed. All right. So remember this, more than money, time is it's of great importance. The next one, that is change in strategy. Now, strategy is, let's say, I want to give you an idea, I want to travel from, let's say, A to B. Let's say I want to travel from Dubai to Dublin. Okay, Dubai to Dublin. Now I can take an airplane, which goes a direct flight. I can take a stopover, which may be a little cheaper. I can take a longer stopover, which may be even more cheaper. I can go by boat. I can go maybe by car. I can go by, some other way. So there are so many options. Now you need to choose which option is best for you depending on your sense of urgency. So before I had a particular strategy in mind that people would come to me. I would put my content out there. I wouldn't spend any money on social media and people would come to me. That helped me for quite some time. However, the dynamics of Facebook, the dynamics of Google, the dynamics of YouTube have changed this year they completely changed. And that is where there has been a sharp decline in the number of customers who have been getting in touch with me. There's been a sharp decline in the number of people that have been interacting with me. Why? Because Facebook, YouTube, Google, what it does is whatever post you put, after a certain point, it just stops that from going further. That is why people are finding it very hard to get viral content. So if I remain stubborn and I say to myself, I'll continue, putting out content, whoever wants to get in touch with me will get in touch with me, I would end up, becoming extinct. So I can't afford to do that. Extinct. Sorry, I can't afford to do that. So that is where I had to change my strategy. Let's say in January of 2018, if you follow me, you'd know that my strategy was Quora, my strategy was Facebook, my strategy was Instagram, my strategy was WhatsApp. These were the 4 areas that I marketed myself. So Quora, I got banned from Quora and I lost everything there. Facebook, they just suddenly blocked me and I was like, what the hell, for a month, because I forwarded a video of Facebook to Facebook people. Then Instagram, ever since Facebook made a whole mess of Instagram, my reach has been very limited now. WhatsApp groups, there was a decline in the number of people who were joining the WhatsApp group. So I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Even my website got blocked, if those of you know. So I decided now I need to change the structure. So I started creating private groups on a totally different platform. I started putting out more YouTube content. Before, I didn't bother much. Now I'm focusing more on YouTube content because the interaction is much more. I've started more on email marketing, which really has been helping me. And before I used to speak on just normal, let's say, general subjects. Now I speak specific to the Middle East. I speak specific to jobs. I speak specific to, let's say, career growth. So this strategy in itself helped me make the major chunk of difference, let's say, in terms of revenue growth. So if I was, let's say, earning $100,000 before through the approach that I took, Quora, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, it dropped down to, let's say, $30,000. Panic set in. I changed my structure. Now I'm making, let's say, 170, 180 because I took the new platform. But however, remember this, it's not that easy. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of analysis. You need to constantly sleep, eat, breathe, wake up only your brand. This is my room. This is the place where I stay. I sleep here. I stay here. I eat here. Everything here. And my brand is constantly right in front of my face. You can see the camera here. This is my iMac. It's always there. So I had to, change my strategy. So where you're concerned, you need to ask yourself, what can you do to change your strategy? What should you do to change your strategy? Let's say before you used to apply through, let's say, recruitment websites. If you have not got any calls from them, then that strategy does not work. Let's say you worked very hard in your company, you are the ace, you are the performer, but now they've stopped giving you a bonus. So even though you're working hard, you're not getting a bonus. So your strategy is not working. Let's say you had a plan to launch a business. Now you put in the effort, you put in the money, the business is running, but now the money is not coming in. So your strategy is not working. You need to change it. So it's very important to change your strategy, which many people do not do, which I think is very, very important. Point number 6. Point number 6 is the tools of the trade. Now, there is, on one side, you have people who wait for every year there's a new iPhone and they keep buying a new iPhone. On the other hand, you have people who, once if they buy an iPhone, they never upgrade the iPhone until it breaks, cracks, and gets destroyed. Now, if you are a person who, let's say, who really wants to be successful, who really wants to achieve big things in life, you need to upgrade the tools of your trade. Let's say, for example, I'm using an iMac. Now, I can only use an iMac until a certain point, after which I need to upgrade the iMac from, let's say, the iMac that I have to a new iMac. In the last 6 years, I've upgraded my iMac 3 times. Okay, that is a totally new iMac. Now, the reason for this is the software, the speed. My work is pretty heavy duty, so that is where I needed to upgrade my iMac. All right. Now, this year, that is January, before I only had, just say, I used to, you can check my videos. Before, I used to only speak to the iMac, and I used to record nothing fancy, and just put up the videos. But then people started to complain, Lloyd, the sound is crap. The sound is really shit. Yeah, why don't you get a worthwhile microphone? I didn't give a damn. But then it started to, too many people started to, constantly tell me this. So then I bought this Rode USB microphone. Then people said, the lighting is not good. Lloyd, it's pretty dark and all that. I ignored it for something. But then I was like, I'm getting feedback here. I need to invest in lighting. So I put up these tube lights here. Now, I've realized this is a temporary fix. This is not actually a permanent fix. Now, given the fact that I'm upgrading to the next level, I realized I need to move steps higher. So already, if you follow me, you know this. I'm going to buy. I've kept a budget of $5,000, whereby I'm going to invest in a Canon camera, that is to take the videos. I'm going to invest in proper microphone equipment. I've already got in touch with somebody from Sony Broadcast to just find out what are the, whether I need amplifiers, what are the connections that I need, what are the connectors that I need. I've even invested in a new software that checks the audio, that checks the videos. So all this is happening in the background. It's not going to happen like within just a week. I have given myself, let's say, a month, 2 months to make sure that whatever I do purchase next, it's going to help me for the next 2-3 years. Why? Because I'm putting in the money and I need to respect and value every penny that I put. So the camera, the lighting, the sound, the software, even the way I write down my scripts, all that has to change. So the tools of the trade is very important. So if you have to succeed, you need to invest in your tools of the trade. What are your tools of the trade? Let's say you're an employee. What are your tools of the trade? Is it your car that you travel a lot? Is it, let's say, in terms of your contacts? Is it your software? Is it the people that you're meeting? Is it, let's say, you like to do all the work by yourself? Should you delegate it to someone? Do you need to have a virtual assistant? Do you need to have, let's say, people working under you to improve your sales and push it to the next level? Do you need to have a mentor? Do you need to have, let's say, a mastermind group? Do you need to join new affiliations? So you need to ask yourself, what is it that you need to do in terms of upgrading the tools that you have? Because just as a woodcutter has his tools, like he has an axe, he has, knives, he has different instruments, you need to maybe upgrade those so that you can move to the next level. All right. The point number 7 is sharpen the saw. Okay. Now, what do I mean by sharpen the saw? Sharpen the saw is sharpening your skills. Like I give you the example of a woodcutter. Now, a woodcutter who has an axe, he can keep hitting a piece of wood. The axe at some point will lose its sharpness. So he'll have to sit down to sharpen it and make it, much more sharper. Now, while he's busy sharpening, another guy might actually get, let's say, a new design in an axe, and that might help cut much more better. Another guy might get an electric saw. Another guy might actually, subcontract it to, a couple of guys so that he's able to cut wood much more faster. So you need to figure out what is it that your competition is doing, which I spoke about in the point before, and ask yourself, what do I need to do in terms of sharpening my saw? In my case, it was learning the new skills in Final Cut Pro. It was learning advanced techniques in Photoshop. It was learning the new techniques of web marketing. It was learning internet marketing, which I'm still doing. It was learning the optimal web design approach. That is why now my website is undergoing a complete transformative change. Before it was more, I was more bothered about how it looked. Now it is more on user experience. And from user experience, it's going to move to ensuring that it has a sales process to it as well. So all this happens when you sharpen your saw or sharpen your skills. It's very, very important. Most of the people, after they finish their education in college, that is a degree and a master's, they stop. They think, I've got my master's, that's the end of it. That is where you're absolutely mistaken. Today, you have youngsters, you have small children who know much more on social media than you, much more of Instagram, much more of Facebook, much more of Google, much more of YouTube, much more of even texting, much more of, you'd be surprised to know Whenever I have any question, I put it to my groups of youngsters that I have, and many a times they come up with these really amazing answers, which really baffles me. Let's say, for example, Slack. Slack is an app which you just need an email address and you can communicate with a lot of people. This was given to me by a youngster. Notion is a productivity hack that was given to me by another youngster. Then Zen. Zen is one particular software. Then you have, I mean, there are so many, from TubeBuddy to, Survey Monkey to Thrive Themes to ClickFunnels. All these, I'm just looking at the bookmarks that I have. Even Appearin. Appearin is another software where you can chat with someone. Zoom. All these, Trello. All these were given to me by youngsters, by people who are far more younger than me, whom I never thought would give me anything of value. But it is these people who actually, because they keep tinkering around, they keep playing around, and they come up with these nuggets. So for me, it was very important to sharpen my saw and be at the forefront of being able to handle technology, because I'm getting older, and as I'm getting older, I need to blend in or I'll be extinct. So if you have finished your college education, that was years ago, remember this: after 2 years or 3 years, it becomes redundant, it becomes useless. So you need to keep studying. That is why, I stopped reading all these books of self-improvement, and I decided now I need to focus on what helps me make money. I need to focus on the technical aspect of positioning myself online. And this, once again, in order to sharpen my saw, I got in touch with other people. The next one, point number 8, is savings. I gave you the example before. That was my iMac crashed. I had my surgery, which I spoke to you about. My wife's pregnancy, which was planned out. The marriage just took place. If you follow me, you know that in 3 seconds I proposed to my wife, and within a week we got married. Then the changes that I had in terms of, let's say, the way that I live, the way that I did my videos, the new investments that I'm making, sound, lighting, in cameras. So all these things, they require money. And if you do not have enough and more savings, you'll not be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you. Fortunately for me, I have been able to earn a substantial amount, and I have my savings. So anytime there's a new training, anytime there is a new mentor, anytime there is a special offer, I'm able to buy these things and I'm able to enjoy my life. I'm able to improve the quality of my life. Now, if you do not have savings, if you do not have the money, you're in serious problem. Now, I always get this question, Loy, I don't have the money. What do I do? The answer is very simple. If you required a surgery to save your life and you didn't have the money, you would arrange it somehow. You would beg, you'd borrow, you'd maybe even steal. Now, that's the same thing what I did when I was penniless on the streets. I literally went and I begged. I begged people who could give me the money. I borrowed money from people, and I paid these coaches and I paid these mentors so that they could help me grow and evolve. Because these mentors, they didn't care a damn. They put it point blank. You don't have the money, I'm sorry, we are very busy, we are not doing charity. And they were right, because they were professionals. And I realized if I wanted the best, I need to afford the best. And that is where I arranged the money and I paid them the money. So if you do not have the savings, then go through the process of arranging the savings so that you can invest and take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Remember this, for someone who really wants to do something, he'll do it no matter what. So it's very important to have savings. And people in the West, they go through student loans and all these other loans just to complete their education. The reason being is so that they can earn more in order for them to save more. Okay, so this is where you really need to focus hard into saving. Please understand, I'm not saying spend foolishly on a credit card. I'm not saying just take loans and keep blowing it off on things which are not required. All I'm saying is, if you have to borrow money in order to learn a new skill, so that you can earn much more, that is fine. Be careful as to how you do it. But at the same time, after you start earning, save a substantial amount every single month. All right. The next one, point number 9, is the change in relationships. Now, this one is pretty strange actually, because I always believe that I always believe that certain relationships will be there and they will always remain. And this was a mistake on my part. What I came to realize, maybe somewhere late in life, is people come and people go. You might be very close to a person today, but with the passing of time, that person who was super close to you will suddenly move with his or her priorities, and they'll just fade off into oblivion. Like, for example, one of my friends, let's say his name is Aaron. Okay, January we were really, really close. From last year and before that, we were really close. We are talking to each other every single day. And when I moved into Quora, I mean, we literally used to exchange messages every single hour. And it was crazy. Sorry. It was crazy. We were literally communicating with each other every single hour. We were talking of strategy. We were talking of ways to, boost our rankings in terms of Quora. And he was more like my wife. Okay. We were literally communicating 24/7, waking up, sleeping, everything else. However, after Quora finished, got banned, realized, okay, that is over. The distance started to grow. And then Aaron had his own business to take care of. He had his own priorities to take care of. His business started to expand. He got into a new relationship. And, I obviously started experimenting with other things. And today, we speak to each other maybe once in a month or once in 2 months. We hardly speak to each other, even though we respect each other as friends. So the fact is, you will have relationships where at one point you feel you cannot live without each other. You have to meet, interact, be with each other 24/7. And at some point you realize that you both have moved on. So what do I mean by putting this point here is, every year you need to evaluate all your relationships that are there. Who are the people that you interact with every single day? Who are the ones you need to spend more time with? Who are the ones you need to spend less time with? Who are the ones you need to eliminate? Who are the ones you need to introduce? Because as people, our priorities tend to change. Human beings, our priorities change. Today, I have a baby. My priorities are totally different from last year when I was single. Last year when I was single, I didn't have a wife. I could afford to take crazy risks. Now I have a wife. I can't take any more risks because I've decided this is going to be my last and final marriage. So before, the friends that I had, I mean, we used to, my previous clients who were in Dubai, we were literally exchanging messages with each other so frequently. Every single week, we would have these group sessions. Today, it's like each one of them has taken a different job, has moved to a different part of the world, and they're doing their own thing, and we hardly interact with each other. So it's very important for you to reevaluate all your relationships and figure out which are the relationships that you need to have in terms of your growth, and which are the relationships you need to let go and move on. All right. Point number 10. This one is, I learned this from my previous mentor, who was the CEO of a switchgear company. Every year, my ex-boss, his name is Gabriel D'Souza, in his company's name is Quick Electric. He had this habit of every year ensuring that the engineers and technicians in his company, they would, literally rip apart the machines, clean them completely in and out, and check every part and fix them all and make them like brand new if they needed to paint or whatever. He would do this every single year, whether it was the air conditioner, whether it was the computers, whatever it was. And I used to ask him, like, why are you doing it? We don't have any problem. He told me it's preventive measures so that if it doesn't break down, and this helps in the longevity of the equipment. And I learned this important lesson because I realized whether it's your car, whether it's your products, whether it's your iPhone, whether it's anything that you use, you need to ensure preventive measures so it doesn't break down. So, like this year, everything is fine, but I made sure that I got the all the air conditioners checked, and even though there was nothing wrong, checked and cleaned and made like spick and span brand new. I made sure that carpenters and technicians, they came and checked the electrical wiring, they checked the house, they checked for termites, even though there was nothing. I got guys who ensure pesticides. We didn't have any pests, but I still told, just make sure that everything is perfect. I pay them a little bit of money. I had a social media strategist who checked, who went through all my social media profiles just to make sure everything is proper. There is nothing which is controversial. I had someone go through my website, a hacker, just to make sure that it's completely foolproof. We don't have any problems there. Now, these are preventive measures. In fact, I even do preventive measures where my health is concerned. I got myself completely checked up, made sure my blood, my health, my blood count, sugar, the fat, my heart, my breathing, everything was checked up. The reason for this is I don't want to reach a point where suddenly something breaks down. So whether it's my motorcycle, whether it's the electrical connection, whether it's the fridge, whether anything, I make sure that a complete checkup is done. Even your computer, I would recommend go get it checked once a year, once every 6 months, just to make sure it's perfect. In fact, format it and put it like it's brand new. That is why I've even installed softwares that make sure everything that is excess is just deleted and cleaned up, because we tend to just pile up stuff. I do this same with my cupboards. I do this with every single thing. Once a duration, I make sure that it's completely taken care of. Sorry. Last, if not least, point number 11, the addictions and drawbacks. Now, there is always a tendency that we'll always focus on the good things, on the nice things, on the fun things, on the enjoyable things. Okay. We always like to focus on, okay, improvement and the good side of things. But as human beings, we tend to have drawbacks. We tend to have addictions. We tend to have problem areas. Now, you can get rid of a bad habit only if you substitute the bad habit with something else. Now, let's say, for example, I love watching, let's say, sports. I love watching sports, or I love watching cricket online, on TV. Now, unless and until I replace this with another habit, if I try controlling it, it's not going to work out. Because maybe today I'll say, no, I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to watch TV. But at some point you're going to say, hey, man, fuck this. I'll just watch TV. So it can be the same with regards to, let's say, food items. You like pizza. You control yourself, but you say no for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. At some point, you're just going to, just go crazy and eat all the pizza possible. So it is the same with chocolates. It is the same with sweets. It's the same with exercise. It's the same with binge eating. It's the same with wasting time. It's the same with porn, sex, whatever. So if you have a bad habit, you need to be realistic with yourself, analyze what is that bad habit and how can you, if not master the bad habit or get rid of it, how can you channelize this so that instead of destroying yourself with one bad habit, you can have a harmless other bad habit. Like, let's say last year for me, when I was single, I always used to spend time chatting with other females because obviously I was alone. I was staying in a forest all alone, and it kind of gets to you, staying all alone. So I used to literally spend, I think, 4 to 5 hours a day, almost 6 hours, just chatting up with other females online, meeting up, having these virtual conversations. It was fun. My entire day used to, just focus around this, and it was exciting. It was fun. It was enjoyable, and I had tons and tons of females. My resource wasn't money. My resource was time and effort. Now that I'm married, I don't need to talk to females anymore. I don't need to talk to girls. But my new addiction is I like playing video games. I like playing these online games. So if you check my previous video, I at one point when I was playing these games, I spent, I think, almost $10,000. Just $10,000 one day, just spent and bought these upgrades because I was trying to control myself, control to the point I just went crazy. I just went crazy and spent $10,000 on upgrades of the game. And by the time I realized, I was like, shit, what the fuck did I just do? When I saw my, online credit card activity, I was like, bloody hell, this is crazy. This is so... I was in a state of shock. And I, was really upset with myself that, I went crazy. So after spending time evaluating what had happened, analyzing, I decided it's going to be very hard for me to control myself, especially when you have some of the world's best brains who basically try to entice you into buying, impulse buying. So I was like, if I try to fight them, I'm going to lose because these are the best brains, these are the best minds, they know what they're doing. So what I decided is every single day, I'll make a small purchase. Every single day, I'll make a small purchase on something that I like in the game. So it's going to be a small amount. It's going to be $1, $5, $10, whatever, a small amount, but it'll not go too much. And because I do this every single day, I no longer feel the sense of desperation. I no longer feel like going crazy. So whenever I see a special offer, I say, nah, I don't need to buy this. Next offer comes the following day because every day there is a special offer in the game. The game that I'm playing, Dominations, they always have this virtual tank or this virtual plane or this virtual power-up or something. So I make sure I buy one small thing. One small, $1, $5, $10. And this makes it more fun. And I'm relaxed because I know that I can buy it tomorrow. It's not a big deal. There's another offer that is coming out. I'm not going to lose anything. So I'm in control. So that is how I'm able to control the drawback. Now, let's say I love eating ice creams. I love eating chocolates. What do I do there? Instead of just controlling myself in one fine day and going crazy, every day I tell myself I can eat a little bit every single day. And I have enough and more kept in the house. Enough and more. I have boxes of chocolates and boxes of everything else. So anytime I feel, I can just take one. So I know for a fact that I'm not dying out of scarcity. There is enough and more in the house. And the funny thing is, when you do not have, you want to store. But when you have enough and more, you don't think about it. So I've done this with all the areas of my life where my drawbacks are concerned. Because at the end of the day, I'm not perfect. I have my drawbacks. Okay, I have my flaws. So if I don't address my flaws, it's going to go crazy. Like even where sex is concerned. Okay, let's say I've told my wife, I've actually sat and discussed with her, telling her that if I don't give myself pleasure and if I bottle myself up, I might just one fine day lose control. And there are a lot of girls who make passes at me. Lots of girls. Okay, you might not believe this. You might think, oh, you look so ugly. Who the fuck would? There are girls who like crazy guys, and some of them do like me. And lots of girls make passes at me. Even locally, a lot of girls make passes at me. So I told her, just make sure every single day you help me gain enough pleasure where I climax, finish. So every day, a little bit of pleasure, I'm happy. And because of this, I don't get desperate. I don't get frustrated. There are so many guys and girls online who are so frustrated, sexually frustrated. Why do you think guys are sending their dick pics? Why do you think guys are sending like, oh, I love you, I can't live without you, begging and crying, and some of them, lose control and destroy their careers because they are bottled up. They're so bottled up. Why do you think rape is taking place? Why do you think all these, crimes are taking place? Because they bottle themselves up. They reach the point of it. And that is why the more strict a religion is, the more extreme the people get. And you know what I'm talking about. I don't even want to bring it here. The reason for this extremism is because of this intense, the focus of self-control. So that is where, if you have a little bit of evil pleasure, little bit, every single day, you would not be desperate. So that is why, whether my gaming is concerned, I have my little bit of fun every single day, $1, $5, $10. I have my little bit of pocket money. My wife knows that. Where sex is concerned, every single day, little bit of happy moments. So I don't have to be too desperate about it. So where the chocolates is concerned, ice cream, I have enough and more ice creams and chocolates kept there. I can just go and pop one in my mouth and I know that, oh, don't have to worry about it. So the most important thing that I'll tell you in the end is understand your addictions, analyze your addictions, and focus on making, trying to be a master of your addictions. All right. So these are the 11 areas, the strategies that I've used in order to, master myself to earning a 6-figure income. Now, I'm not saying that if you do all this, you will also achieve success. However, one thing I can assure you is if you focus on these points that I gave you and you really spend time to understand yourself, understand your competition, understand the market, focus on becoming better, this will really help you reach the levels that I've managed to reach. Keep in mind, these strategies have helped me because I started my career from being penniless, homeless, with nothing in 2011, where I was thinking of killing myself. And today, if I'm earning 6-figure income, it's only because of this constant process of improving, spending time analyzing myself and becoming better. So I hope these points help you. I'm sorry this has been a rather long video. Put your comments down below. I definitely read your comments. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, don't like it, thumbs down. Any questions? Remember, I created this new website, askmachedo.com. I'd love to hear from you. This is me signing off for now. Take care. Bye.